So what tools do you really need for upholstery? Let's find out. The tools you need for upholstery is very subjective based on the amount of upholstery or level of upholstery you're going to get into. Many people just set up little shops inside their garage and do minor little projects. So the need for those tools is not nearly as great as the need for the tools that, say, a shop like mine would have, where we work on sofas and beds and chair and every kind of upholstery that there is. What I've laid out here is a lot of the tools that I use on a fairly regular basis. Now, I don't use all of them all the time. I only use the heat gun for basically for heating up vinyl to soften it for, so it'll stretch on better. So I don't use it a lot. But a tack hammer, is almost every day. A tape measure, every day. A regulator or sharp point, every day. A pair of dikes, wire cutters, whatever you want to call them, every day. Some form of cutting for trimming, whether it's, you can use, there's different options right here, every day. Scissors, every day. Staple gun, every day. Blower, pretty much every day. Sharpening the knife and your tools, pretty much every day. Glasses so I can see. Is that a 3 or an 8? Oh, it's a 5. Every day. Air compressor. Every day. A steamer. An iron. A sewing machine. A chop saw. A bandsaw. A table saw. A tabletop sander. A drill. An impact driver. Clamps. Hog ring pliers. Webbing stretcher.
Am I getting a raise this week?
A mallet. Ace stapler. And a variety of other tools. So what are the basic tools you need in your garage just to do minor projects? Let's go over a few of those. Most important things you're going to need, and you can use a small air compressor, and this will do a lot of work. You can get a lot of jobs done with just these little guys here, and they're not very expensive. Now, everybody has their idea of what they like for a staple gun. And some of you that are barely going to do anything in your garage and you're probably just going to do wrap over a slip seat or something, you're going to use one of the little hand things. Have fun. This is the stapler of choice. You can get these for about $125 and get them with the fittings to hook up to that, and you've got a very professional setup staple gun system. A pair of heavy-duty scissors. Now you can try to use your little paper cutters, you know, that you cut little thin fabrics with at home for a lot of different projects. But if you're going to cut heavy material, you're going to need heavy duty scissors. Dikes or wire cutters, or whatever you want to call them, we've always called them dikes. Very important, and there's a lot of different types of these. I don't recommend some of the smaller, more pointy ones. I like these more robust, fatter bullnose looking things here. But I'm going to be doing a video soon, and I'm going to show you how I modify my dikes for upholstery. A sharp tool or regulator, whatever you want to call these, very important. These do most of the work in digging up staples, nails, tacks, whatever. And usually you can use these in contract, you know, with together and just beat them. You know, it helps you get underneath better and pry up. You get it. I've just gotten used to do that with these. So these two, very important together. A knife, whether you get a professional knife or this knife, I use this knife far more than I ever use this knife. Now, back when I was early starting in it, this was the only thing I used just because I didn't know how well these work. But this type of end on your knife is very good for a lot of projects. Tape measure, I don't like big bulky tape measures. This one is a 16 footer, but it's small. You do want one that's fairly robust, you know, that'll hold itself out for a ways. I wouldn't get a flimsy one, but you don't need a big old 25 footer unless you're working in a wood shop. So I recommend just a regular old cheap 16 footer with at least a 3/4 to 1 inch tape on it that's sturdy enough, long enough, will get the job done. And cheap, you can get these cheap. Upholstery pins, I use these a lot. You should have some of these in your shop. Curved needle, very, very important in a shop. And having the right type of thread for it is very important. There's all kinds of threads that can be used in an upholstery shop. This is called hand stitching thread. I can't tell you the diameter of it, I don't have any markings on this, but you'll know the difference between this, the really thin little cheap sewing threads that you see for hemming little things, and the difference between, are some thicker ones for stitching in decks, and things like that. But this is your typical hand stitching thread, goes with one of these 3 to 3.5 inch needles. You can use this button needle to repair buttons when they come out of cushions. You're going to want a tack hammer. Very useful for driving tacks, beating down ply grip, putting in upholstery nails. A must in your garage. This tool is very useful for fixing a lot of problems in your household. Along with some webbing, can fix a lot of problems. There's a lot of sofas or chairs out there that have has old burlap rotting in them. You can take these along with the air compressor and a staple gun, and between these 4 things, you can re-web over your rotting burlap that's holding the springs underneath. You can web over that and extend the life of your sofa so your springs don't fall out the bottom. You can also, on dining chairs, take this and you can put foam inside that cavity, because most of these dining chairs have just a rubber webbing on top that gets stretched out, and then you kind of feel like you've got a hole in your seat with webbing on bottom, and then you can take some kind of foam or some kind of filler and web it from the bottom. You can fill up that cavity so that your seat doesn't feel like you've got a hole in it. An air blower can blow off furniture. You can take your pieces outside, and with an air compressor and one of these, you can blow a lot of dust off your furniture. An added bonus, if you have a fillet knife, electric fillet knife, you can actually cut foam. It's not fast, but it will work. Do you have a wrinkly skirt you can press it with your iron. Just make sure that you're not doing a fabric that'll melt. There's rayon fabrics out there that'll just melt to the touch of an iron. You can use a board to lay behind your skirt and then press it with your iron. And if you've got a rayon fabric, grab another fabric of some sort and lay it over the skirt and then press it. If you have a steamer, you can also press your skirts with it, and it doesn't have to be a big steamer like this. I forgot to mention this earlier, but you're definitely going to want a hot glue gun in your shop. There are several little minor repairs you can do with this, and if you have a sewing machine and you're able to make double welt, this is what you would use to put the double welt on with. If you've got a skirt kind of coming out of its seam, especially happens on corners, this right here can kind of fix that. You can just kind of dab that and kind of get that pushed back in and glued back in. So these tools are the ones I recommend for your garage. These tools are designed to do a lot of small projects and do a lot of repairs around your house. For those of you who want to up your game, get a decent sewing machine. That will increase greatly the amount of projects you can do as far as cushions, sewing, stuff like that. You can also repair seams on your existing cushions, which you can also do with your sewing needle and thread, but it comes out a lot better when you use a sewing machine. So if you want to be able to make little small cushions and pillows, you're going to have a sewing machine. And you should get one that's robust enough to sew just about every different type of fabric there is. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. And if you want to catch future videos, make sure to hit that notification bell. Thank you.